Greetings. It is Joy Boy J here, Scarface J here, Chief Red Cloud here, and we is in Join the Skool. Wow. And we are speaking on our module that is shadow work, right? And in this shadow work module here, okay, we're speaking about don't let external programming define you. And what do I mean by this, right? External programming, which also requires us to self-reflect and to be self-aware of our thoughts and our actions and our behaviors. But essentially, just make it simple. As the world is always, especially with social media, right? And just, a very highly opinionated world. There's always, beliefs, projections, modalities, ways of life being blasted in our faces, like literally 25/8, especially like I say if you're on social media, right? Or just in the world in general, right? And it's for us to self-analyze ourselves to say, what do we actually believe is true for us and what's capable in the world? And what was something that we inherited directly or indirectly? And then challenging those beliefs, preconceived notions and biases to say, well, is this actually how we think life is? Is this how we choose to experience life? Because remember, our beliefs shape our reality, right? Confirmation bias, right? From a literal physiological standpoint, right? So, not letting external programming define us, right? In terms of people, places, things, social media, parents, is very, very important in regards to our own self-actualization, aka self-growth journey and knowing who we are as people, right? So I'll give an example of this, right? Let's say the world says that, men can only do X, Y, and Z and women can only do X, Y, and Z, right? As it already kind of be saying that on a lot of different social media and shit, but whatever, right? And let's say they think these very, very rigid beliefs that men can only do this and women can only do that, right? It would be upon us and behoove us to be able to question those things, to say, within ourselves, do we believe these to be true? Do we get any emotional feelings? Or do we feel something in our body when these topics come up? Do we get triggered, right? Do we get irritated? Do we get happy? Whatever it is. And to be able to always question our beliefs and challenge them, because a solid, grounded belief is something that can be challenged and that's applicable to you in your ideal of how you feel life should be for you, because as stated, it's all subjective in its sense of the observer's effect of life, right? Confirmation bias. It's for us to be able to look at ourselves, right? Look in our shadows, look in these parts that maybe we don't look at a lot, or maybe push down, and to say, do we really believe that? Is that really true? And one framework that you can use to test this, you don't have to, but say it's like a negative belief or something. All right, let's say women can only do this or men can only do this, right? Well, can that be proven 100 times out of 100 times? Meaning, will this belief hold up if you get 100 different people and they all did this thing? Will every 100 do that out of 100? And will they do that every time it's tested of that 100? Usually, I'm gonna answer for you. The answer is no. But that's liberating, right? Because as the world is the reflection of God's source universe, of so much unlimited potential, unlimited circumstances and unlimited results. Anything is possible, honestly, right? So let's say they think women can't do X, Y, and Z. Well, there's some women in the world at some point, whether it was in the past, right now, or the future, which, by the way, there is no separation from that, but that's another conversation. We'll get into that later. But for right now, past, present, future, right? There's probably a woman that has done that shit, or is doing that shit in some variation to what people saying they can't do. Or let's say it's a man, right? Let's say they got a man doing X, Y, and Z, and they say, well, you can't do that. Well, there's people out here, I promise you, that probably can or have done that shit, right? Of whatever it is. You get what I'm saying? And let's say someone tries to push back on it, not suggesting you to go argue with people on that, but let's say if it just came up to you, right? And you are self-reflecting on that. You would ask yourself, would this be true 100 times out of 100, even if you tested this multiple times? No. So why do we believe it? Why is this something that we hold dear to us? Because the reason why a lot of like the triggering happens and shit like that, of why people take their beliefs and shit like that so personal on us as humans, is because sometimes as humans with the ego is always trying to identify with something. So if we feel like we are identifying with something, right? We feel like that is a part of who you are, your personality, right? Of what your ego defines as itself. But you are an ever-evolving creature. You're an ever-evolving, ever-growing creature in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Anything can change at any point in time, always. All science is and all facts are things that have been proven, that have been done by someone. And usually, more times than not, it was tested for it to be that. And it's always being tested. That's why science always innovates. Science never stays the same, right? Science and metaphysics is just two sides of the same coin. Science is just the masculine interpretation of creation. And metaphysics is just the feminine internalization, or quantum physics, should I say, is the feminine aspect of the same coin of how reality works, right? That's just an example, right? So it's always question these beliefs and challenge and allow ourselves to be in a state of self-reflection so we don't stay stagnant and we stay open-minded. Because an open-minded person will have, usually more times than not, a more open experience and a more free experience versus someone that's more closed-minded that may subject themselves to only the same, known, right? They don't put themselves in the unknown, so they don't know, right? Granted, live your life the way the fuck you want to, but that's just some suggestions and some tools and frameworks, right? So, I hope you, and I know you, enjoyed this lesson, and we shall get into the next one, which is the biggest one in this whole module. So be tuned for that. Love you. Have a great day.